So when the signal is going in, for example, you're singing into the interface and then into the computer, you need to listen. So you have either headphones, for example, for us is Audio-Technica monitor headphones, or the studio monitors. So sometimes you need both. Okay, for example, if you're working alone or you're working with talent, you need something to monitor. You cannot have the speaker being played. Yeah, if not, you will hear yourself, the person playing. At the same time, you can also optional to have a keyboard and or synthesizer. Mostly they are called MIDI controllers or synthesizers. MIDI controllers being that it's actually just a keyboard with no sounds, but you just use the software such as Inside Logic to look for sounds and then you play the sounds accordingly. For example, drums, piano, so on and so forth. Okay, so there are basically two types of microphones. Okay, two types. What are those two types? The first being wired microphones and the other being USB microphones. Okay, so you may not know when purchasing what's wired and what's USB. Okay, so back to this picture. Most traditional interface, such as the ones over here, you see it as XLR. Okay, so this is the conventional method of connection. So in order to use that, your microphone needs to have an XLR connection. So you can connect to the interface. So sometimes if you don't have an interface, what can you do? You can use a USB microphone, which is the 2020 Plus or the 2005 USB, such as the ones below. You know, that's a USB port. Or you can see in the picture, it's a bit far, but yeah. So you can have either USB or XLR connected to an interface. So what are the pros and cons? The XLR version allows you to use any interface. So if you have an interface that you want to upgrade in the future, your microphone can be with you all the way through. But if you have an interface that is, if you're using USB, you cannot upgrade. So you're always stuck to the USB microphone. So perhaps there's two things to think. Yeah, would you want something to use, just a USB mic, or using an XLR, which you can upgrade down the road using a different interface. You can bring it to different studios. You have your friend at the other studio. You want to bring your microphone, you can choose to do so. Yeah, but with a USB microphone, you may have some limitations. Yeah. The other ones is the 2005 USB, which actually features XLR and USB at the same time. Yeah. Okay, so a bit of microphones. So how does a microphone works? It's basically the same as headphones, but inverted. Okay, when you speak into the microphone, there's a diaphragm. Okay, so like in the animation, the sound wave moves, which convert to electrical, and then it goes into your interface, which converts it into ones and zeros, which you will see on the Logic software. Okay, so there are two types of microphones that when you want to choose. Primarily two types, okay? One is being dynamic, the other one is a condenser type, transducers. Okay, so what are the difference, you may ask? The first one, which is a transducer, which commonly people use for MCs, being that it's actually durable, you can drop on the floor, easy to manage, it still works. Okay, so for example, in this case, the 2005 over here is a transducer, dynamic. Okay, it's easy to use. You can drop it. It's not so sensitive. So when you perform on it, you sing on it, you may not hear the full detail of you singing. Yeah, but if you want something that has more details, okay, you can use a condenser style transducer, which commonly is in the 80-20-20. These types of transducers is more sensitive, so they pick up all the fine details. For example, your a whisper, your breathing, stuff like that. Yeah. Also, when you record on the software, you will see that based on hearing as well, you will hear and see that actually the frequency that it performs is actually more linear compared to the dynamic style. So the problem with dynamic is it sounds good, but it may not be that accurate. And in the lower frequency, you may hear it being more, the bass being increased. So example, this microphone that I'm using is a dynamic microphone. Yeah, so it may sound more sexy, yeah, the kind of sound. So you can hear it's lower because of the low frequency. Yeah, but if I pull it away, you hear it like less. Yeah, so that's the type of how it works for the transducer dynamic. But for condensers, if you may be near or far, you will still be, constant throughout. Okay, so there are 4 types, but for information, but mostly we still use dynamic condenser. There is also electric condenser and ribbon and tube microphones out there, but the common ones are dynamic and condenser. Okay, there's also different in sizes. 1 inch being the industry standard, 1 inch. We have smaller ones, which is the 1/4 inch, or this, 3/4, half. Yeah, mostly they're used for pencil instrument mics. Yeah, for example, the ones over here, this one. Yeah. Also, we have different types of polar patterns. Okay, the common ones are chordoid. So when you ask what kind of polar patterns you're using, what do you want? The common ones are chordoid. Okay, so what does chordoid do? Is actually, think of it like a field of vision. Your microphones are your eyes. When you record, try to place them in such a way that your microphone sees the instrument or sees the person singing. That is my tip, but it may not be applicable for everybody because that's the basics. So when you use a chordoid microphone, it has a coverage angle of 131 degrees. So it's basically like eyes. If I, example, want to record your voice, I have to look in front. And for Audio-Technica, you look at the logo, Audio-Technica, and you place it in the person that is singing on the instrument. We have other types like omnidirectional, hyperchordoid. Yeah, that basically other different angles. Omnidirectional is 360 degrees. Yeah, so it features you can do a so-called 360 degrees, the whole room, the sound of the room. But if the chordoid mic is just 131 degrees, it's very narrow. So that's basically what you see in front is what you hear. Okay, so some tips, guides for using microphones. Try to place them 6 inch away from the microphone. For a studio microphone, you need to do that. If you sing too loud, you sing too soft, putting it 6 inch away would result in the best sound for your talent when you're recording. Yeah. So also, we have different types of microphone techniques. You may take photos, if you want to actually. Yeah, so there are basic guides for you. Natural for recording guitars, a stereo microphone technique, using a mini mic or inside the guitar as well. these are guides. But at the end of the day, I'll still advise you to try and trial and error. If you hear it being nice, you find that the sound is good, yeah, then please use that technique. It may not be a proper technique, but if it sounds good for you, please go ahead and use it. Yeah, this is another way for miking up guitar cabinets. Yeah, if you want a bright sound, you can place it on the left. A mellow is a bit more further. Yeah, less bassy, of course, away. More bassy is nearer. Like now, if I'm using a microphone, yeah, nearer, further is will be less bassy. Yeah, drum miking is actually a very interesting thing to do. It takes a lot of practice, try and error. Basically, one thing you need to take note is miking your kick, your snare, being at the right location, placement, and also your overheads. Yeah. So later, Tom will share with you more about miking drums. Yeah. Yeah. So if you have any question, you can ask him. Yeah. Okay. So again, you can take photos if you want. There's additional miking techniques such as AB and also XY to give you a stereo sound. So far I have shared with you is more or less using the microphone as a single through one microphone. Our microphones should not change the sound of your talent, be it a person singing or instrument. But if you use other brands, it may adjust the sound. So later on, you hear the singing from, I forgot your name. Marcel. Yeah, so you can hear her sing. So this will be what the benefits of Audio-Technica microphones. Okay, so in Audio-Technica that is being featured here in the sales catalog, in CD Music sales catalog, you can take a look. It's at the back. Afterwards, you can take a look. We have a few models. I just want to share with you briefly. We have the bestseller, AT2020. Again, what are the applications? You can use it for YouTube. You can use it for guitar, microphone, singing. You can hook it up to drums, certain parts of the drums. For example, if you want to do snare is okay, but not the kick drum. The kick will be too much for it to handle. You want some instruments, cajon, perhaps, yeah, but always place it a bit further so not to damage the diaphragms. Yeah, so mostly this 2020 is good for vocals and guitars for easy to use. But if you need something better in quality, then I would advise you to use the 2035. It's more sensitive. Sometimes you may want to use it for high frequency sounds, maybe miking up the guitar, you need a bit more brightness to the sound. Yeah, you can use the 2035. Or the other one is the AT2050, which features the same as the 2035, but it has multipolar patterns, meaning to say you can do omnidirectional 360 degrees, or you can do a normal cardioid or bidirectional, which is if you want to sing a duet, you can choose to do so as well because it can record both sides. Yeah, and then finally the 2031, which is the pencil microphone, which can do the instruments, guitars, again pianos if you want, yeah, some instruments if you want to. Okay, so the last portion will be touching on headphones. Okay, so besides us producing microphones, we also produce headphones. Anybody here uses Audio-Technica headphones, M series headphones? Yeah, thank you for using. Yeah, so we have our bestseller M50X. Basically, what this headphones is the trusted product in the production, rebroadcast studio, musician, even gamers. Even gamers, they use it to play for Battlefield. You know, it goes to say that how good this product is. Yeah. So it covers all the spectrum from production, which we will see later, recording, all the way to the final end product, the end user, the consumer of the material. Yeah. The M50, okay, if you have budget constraint, you can use the M40. It's somewhat the same, but frequency-wise, it's a bit less. If you still have budget constraint, you can use the M30X, and finally the M20X. Yeah. So maybe sometimes, you know, you may want to buy one M50X for yourself to do your recording, and then one M20X for your musician. You know, yeah, because most times they will damage it anyway. So let's use the M20X. That'll be nice. Yeah. So yeah. So basically, this is the M series family, 50, 40, 30, 20. Yeah. So again, I come to the end of my slides. I just want to share again, most importantly, some things to remember, to take note from my sharing. Okay. You need the microphone. You need an interface. You need something to hear, either speakers or headphones, monitor headphones, and then of course you need guitars or your voice or your keyboards, be it MIDI controller or synthesizers. Yeah, if there is anything that you need to take back today, take back this thing. At the same time, when you're choosing a microphone, take note either USB or wired. Like I mentioned, wired it will be better because in the long run, you know, you want to upgrade your equipment, you can always use a wired. But for USB, you have limitations with it. Then finally, take note of the difference between dynamic and condensers. Again, for simplicity, dynamic is more like the type of microphones that are durable but may not sound good, you know, a bit more bassy. But for condensers, use those because they are accurate sounding and they provide a linear sound across the frequency spectrum. So you sound the best, the true intention of how the artist or the instrument is. Okay, so any questions?
Any reason why this part here is like a string?
Okay, so over here he are asking why is there a string over here. So very simple, is to prevent vibrations. Sometimes you may doing some stuff like, you know, accidentally pressing the mic stand, moving it around. You know, this thing acts as a field to prevent vibration. Yeah, it's like a stabilizer. Yeah. Yeah, so there are some things to take note. Again, the 6-inch away from the microphone diaphragm. The Audio-Technica logo facing the person singing or the instrument. Yeah. Any other questions over there, sir? Any question? If not, I'll hand it over to Mr. Mike, which will go through the practical, the more interesting part.